transformation of American politics, I would say you're crazy, you're out of your mind, you don't know what you're talking about. It is a new day in America, and I think we're going to send a message not just to ourselves, but to the people of the world.
And Congressman Lewis, this is George Stephanopoulos here. I was just thinking, as you were talking, it made me think of President Lyndon Johnson. Signed the Civil Rights Act into law in 1964, the Voting Rights Act in 1965. And when he did that, he said he thought he was signing away the South to the Democrats for a generation. Now Democrats are competitive in the South. Your thoughts on President Johnson?
Well, what President Johnson did on August 6, 1965, and George, just before he signed the act, when he made that unbelievable speech on March 15, 1965, to introduce the Voting Rights Act to the nation and to a joint session of the Congress. And at the end of the speech, he said, "And we shall overcome, and we shall overcome." I was sitting next to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the home of a doctor in Selma, and I looked at Dr. King, and tears came down his face. He started crying, and we all cried a little to hear Lyndon Johnson say, "And we shall overcome." And Dr. King said, "John, we will make it from Selma to Montgomery, and the Voting Rights Act will be passed." If it hadn't been for Lyndon Johnson and the Voting Rights Act and the involvement of hundreds and thousands and millions of our citizens, there would be no Barack Obama tonight as President of the United States of America.
Congressman, there's 63 electoral votes to go. We're not ready, obviously, to declare anybody yet will be the winner of this election. But should he get to 270, is there another tear you'll shed tonight?
Well, I tell you, I cried a little today when I cast my vote, and I've been crying during the past few days. I don't know whether I have any tears left, but earlier tonight, I tell you, I was at Ebenezer Church speaking to a group, hundreds and thousands of citizens, and when Pennsylvania went over to Barack Obama, I shouted for joy, and I didn't know I could jump so high. And I think I'm going to shout and shed some more tears before the night is over.
John Lewis, I appreciate you being with us tonight from the state of Georgia. Congressman John Lewis, who himself is being reelected, but obviously with a very unique perspective of this campaign.
Why don't we just take a break and go out and look at some of these crowds in this giant melting pot of a nation. Congressman Lewis called it a nonviolent revolution. Let's just look at all the faces and all the crowds that are gathering.
It is now 22 minutes after 10 on the East Coast. Barack Obama, 207 electoral votes. John McCain with 135. Some big states still to come. California closes at 11 Eastern, Oregon, Washington, and some major battleground states still to call as this election continues. Stay with us.
You're watching Election Night 2008. ABC Election Night Vote 08 is on VCast. Get up-to-the-minute reports and video clips from ABC News. VCast, only from Verizon.
For more.
I followed you to the warehouse. I know everything.
An all-new Desperate Housewives, Sunday at 9, 8 Central, followed by a new Brothers and Sisters on ABC.
Live from News Center 5's Election Night headquarters, this is a Commitment 2008 update.
Hi again, everyone. Continuing our election coverage now with the results from Massachusetts. 3 ballot questions. Voters have voted to ban greyhound racing at Massachusetts' 2 dog tracks. Question 3 going down.
People caught with an ounce or less of marijuana will not be considered criminals in Massachusetts. Voters have approved a measure to ease the marijuana laws.
And taking a closer look now at question 1, this was the income tax issue, and Massachusetts voters have rejected the call to eliminate the state's income tax. The historical significance of this election cannot be underestimated tonight.
We've seen crowds in Times Square in New York. We've seen crowds gathering in Chicago and crowds in Boston. Todd Kaskiewicz live at a Dorchester church where Senator Obama supporters are gathered tonight. Todd?
And let's show you some video from inside the church. This is a scene that's being played out across the country tonight, people gathering for watch parties. And politics aside, an awful lot of people are focusing on what kind of a statement an Obama victory would make, what it would indicate about how far the country has come in terms of race relations. Moments ago, I spoke with former State Representative Michael Haynes, a civil rights activist who once marched with Martin Luther King. Here's what he had to say.
If I was a newspaper editor and I was doing a headline for tomorrow and assured that he won tonight, my headline would say, the first line would say, America won, W-O-N, and the second line would say, America won, O-N-E. That's what I think it really means. That is a great victory for the highest ideals and hopes of the United States of America.
Now, coming up at 11 o'clock, a story about the lengths to which some people were willing to go to make sure that they got out to vote today. That's coming up at 11. Live in Dorchester, Todd Kiskiewicz, News Center 5. Ed, Heather, back to you.
We did a little exit polling tonight, so let's take a look at our News Center 5 exit poll. In the next few years, folks, we asked you, do you think race relations in this country will get better? Most of you think it will. Stay about the same. That's the next one. And then get worse. A few of you think that. Let's bring in our analyst. And Ann Murphy, let's go back to what we just heard. I love that. America won, W-O-N, America won, O-N-E. That really resonates tonight, doesn't it?
I think that just says it all. And I think it's very encouraging. We've come a long way, but we still have some work to do. But tonight is a very historic night, and I think it's encouraging for everyone.
Tom, I love what you said earlier. Tom O'Neill, our Democratic analyst, you said, wake the children. This is a watershed moment.
This is a transformative year in American politics. There's no question about it. I want to point out, I don't know what was said in the earlier segment, but I will tell you this, that Barack Obama is the first major candidate running for the presidency of the United States who is black, a man of color, who is not of the civil rights movement. He really ran a plenary campaign for everybody, as great, as vocal, as articulate as any white candidate we have seen in our history. That's why he won tonight, because he appealed to all segments of our society. The other point is...
Just to underscore that, though, Tom, you know, even in Florida, he's close in Florida. He's not quite there yet, but as they close in North Carolina, Virginia, still close. Typically strong Republican areas, and yet this man seems to have stepped over the boundary, but he hasn't completely stepped over the boundary.
No, and he's running close in a few other southern states as well, which have yet to be called. I will tell you, the question was, what about racism in the future? 51% of all of the children under the age of 5 in this country today are kids of color, which gives you an indication as to what the demographics of this country are going to be 10, 12, 15 years down the road in our schools and in our places of business nationwide. And our younger people we know tonight, the ones that went to the polls today are more colorblind than the more senior folks that went out and voted today. And that's happening with the younger generations as well. Which gets great positiveness for this country.
We certainly saw that in Iowa.
Without question. Yeah. Iowa, the state that launched Barack Obama. But it underscores the point, America won, as in O-N-E. That's what the message might be tonight, huh?
Log on, folks. Tell us what you think about this election, and we'll see you back here in a half an hour.
He would rather die than be there again.
Team 5 investigates. Wednesday at 11. Troubled kids, stranded for days, trapped in local emergency rooms, waiting for care.
There's no treatment in an ER. It's a holding tank.
Taking up beds, distracting doctors, clogging your access to emergency